Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at some early Master League battles that I did. I did do 15 battles after this. The first one was very laggy. Second one, it was an okay team, but I was so weak to Giratina. I was like, or the Metagross I think it was, and then so I decided to change this up. I battle this trainer so much. We're always like in a very similar range, so I don't want to switch out. I should just go Ominous Wind, to be honest. I don't know why I go Shadow Ball, because like they're definitely gonna shield anyways. At least early on, people don't know the calculations. So anyways, I'm gonna go into Togekiss, and I expect this to be an Ominous Wind. At least I hope so. Actually, no, a Shield this ended up being a Shadow Ball. I don't know why. Because like I think that people are gonna like people don't like to use their two shields early, so I'm like, oh, at least people think that. So, anyways, I am able to KO. Let's see what comes in. It ends up being the Kyogre, so I am going to go for this Ancient Power. I'm really hoping that this person doesn't decide to farm me down. And he makes a very interesting decision. So I'm like, oh, there's Dialga in the back. Okay, interesting. So I'm going to go into Metagross, and I'm like, please do not Draco Meteor me. Absolutely do not Draco Meteor me. And I figured this is going to be Iron Head because it came way too quick. Because Draco Meteor would do a lot. Because they could, I guess, like, they would have to stay in the matchup, which is not that advantageous. So what happened? So, versus a Metagross, a Draco Meteor would do 88 damage. So I definitely would have been one-shotted. And that might have been good enough. So, but I'm in a pretty decent situation. This Kyogre did generate quite a bit of energy. So they're going to be able to land the Surf. I'm like, please don't land this second Surf because they're going to win the CMP tie. And I'm not quite at an Omnis win. And then I go for the Omnis win. I really should have went for the Shadow Ball. Especially they got a Surf in. It only takes 5, or Waterfall. It only takes 5 to get through. And they must have just had it. Because they did farm up a little bit on my Togekiss. So very fortunate win for me. I wanted to use a Spice Dream lineup, to be honest. I'm not. This is a good team. I'm not necessarily proud of it. I did try out Mew with mixed results. Maybe I'll try it again because I did really have really bad signal where I was. And I tried Mewtwo with Psystrike. It was really good. But I had a Metagross problem. So anyways, I'm going to go into, again, another Kyogre. Kyogre is such a strong lead. And they go into Tyranitar. And I'm like, oh, is this a Bite or Crunch? I really should have went to Togekiss. I went to Metagross mostly because it has such a bad matchup against Kyogre. So they end up shielding. And this is actually not even a max Metagross, Tyranitar. Because like these bites should be doing way more damage. Like this is like probably like a level like 31 or 2 Tyranitar, because otherwise these bites should be doing damage at the same rate, in fact even more than so I really shouldn't have won that matchup. I should be able to apply Steel Pressure, and they should have just been able to bite me down. So I was very fortunate that they didn't have a maxed Tyranitar, or else that would have been a terrible move on my part. So I go for the Omnis Wind. They don't shield. So I'm like, okay, this is just going to be a Surf. It's not going to do very much damage. Kyogre has sky-high attack stat. And I figured that they're not shielding because they want to preserve shields for wherever their Pokemon in the back is. So I go for the Shadow Ball, take it out. Ends up being Metagross. I was like, oh, well, this is absolutely terrible for me. I have a Togekiss in the back. This Metagross will just absolutely eat it alive. So I'm like, I'm gonna shield because I'm gonna be able to get off this Ominous Wind. I should have went for a Shadow Ball, and I think about it, and I decided like, no, I'll just play it safe. This won't KO, but it'll put it super low, and actually it does KO. Oh, because they don't have a maxed out Metagross. Yeah, this is not like a level 30. This is not even level 30. It's like a level 28 Metagross. So, such is life in Masters, because they had a pretty decent team against mine. So they did have a maxed out, or maxed out Kyogre. So, but it is what it is, right? So I gotta check the CPs when I'm battling people to assess what level they are, because that might change the decisions that I'm gonna apply. So this is a maxed out Metagross. The 100% is 14 CP higher. So I go into Metagross hoping that they don't have Thunder. And I'm like, if they have Thunder, it's going to almost one-shot me. They end up going for the Iron Head. It doesn't do very much damage. And then I go for the Earthquake, hoping to connect, because this Earthquake will one-shot, and it does. And then I think they come back in with Kyogre. Oh, and then they are lagging, so I let them get off a waterfall. And then I go for the Earthquake. I'm not sure what's more energy efficient. No, it's definitely Earthquake. Meteor Mash is really good. It has stab, but Earthquake is a great move as well. So I go into Togekiss because I know they have a Metagross. Metagross, yeah, they do. So they go for Surf, and I'm expecting a switch, and then so I switch out into Giratina, a little slow on the switch. And I go for the Ominous Wind. And basically, I'm just going to straight up Ominous Wind. I should be able to outpace this Metagross. It's going to take them like 8 and 7 fast moves, Shadow Claws, to get it off. And it only takes me 5 to get to this Ominous Wind. So I should be able to outpace it. And to be honest, I probably could have... I'm not sure. So let's see here. Giratina. Metagross is an amazing pick. I really like it. It only does 62 damage, which is like just over a third, so it's going to be enough to KO. And then here comes Kyogre, and they go for the Surf, like almost no HP left. They're basically going to be KO'd after this. So I'm able to take it out. Kyogre is another strong pick. There's so many strong Pokemon in Masters, so we'll see how the meta decides to adapt. A lot of Kyogre leads, a lot of Metagross leads. Metagross makes sense. Kyogre makes sense. These are our raid Pokemon. I'm going against my friend Wolf Frogachu. And what happens here? So he leads Kyogre, which is okay for me. I expect to switch out. He switched out to Dialga. I switch out to... Oh, I don't know why I didn't... I switched it to Metagross because it's such a bad matchup against Togekiss, right? And I'm like, please don't Thunder me. And he ends up hitting the Thunder. I'm like, okay, I build up to Earthquake. And I'm hoping that he shields. He does. But I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get to this Meteor Mash. And I'm right on it. But those Dragon Breaths are just too deadly. So I'm not in a particularly great situation right now. And I'm going to go for the Farm Down. I have to shield. These Meteor Mash. Oh, he goes for the Thunder. I'm not sure why he went for Thunder. Maybe he only has... So he did a very smart move, switching into a Pokemon that Togekiss has a favorable matchup for. But I need that Togekiss for... Oh, he gets the boost too. So this actually doesn't make any sense what happened. Look what happened here. And then all of a sudden, my Giratina lost half its health. I have no idea what happened there. Like, I did the charge move, I got the boost, and then I lost half my health. What the heck? What the heck happened there? Like, I almost lost this match because of it. Like, and then I decide I risk it. I go for the Farm Down. He's like one Shadow Claw away, and then I go for the Ominous Wind, hoping that this is enough to KO. This technically would do like 3/4 of a Shadow Ball with the boost, and then I go for the Ominous Wind again. I'm gonna be able to survive because of the boost. And I get it off, and I'm like, okay, sweet. He has no energy left. It's going to take 5 more waterfalls to get there. So I switch out into Togekiss. That's 3. He's gotten off. I'm going to hit this Ancient Power. And I'm able to KO and take out the Kyogre. I don't know what happened there. Like, my Giratina's like, you got the boost, but we're going to have to It's like the Giratina did like belly drum, for example, and just decided to take half my HE for getting the boost, and that's what I get for using a BBML. And I'm sure someone's gonna ask me in the comments, but I can't say the full name in this thing. So bad matchup for me. So I switch out into Metagross. Switch it out to Giratina, which is a terrible matchup for me. But these Meteor Mashes absolutely hurt, and they definitely chunk away. It does so much. Like, Meteor Mash is such an amazing move. And I debate shielding. And to be honest, like, if I shielded, it would have been like an amazing call, because they actually go for the Shadow Ball, and I would have been able to apply more shield pressure, and potentially even like farm down. So this is just an ominous win, at least I hope. And they just go for the ominous win, which is fine with me. And then I decide to go for the feint down, which I get it. And then I decide to Shadow Ball, hoping that they think it's just an ominous win. And it would have did a lot of damage. They end up going in, and then they switch out into I basically have no chance here. This is GG. I really should have went up for Flamethrower and potentially, but I only went for Ancient Power. This is a dumb move on my part. I should have. My opponent was too good at counting. That Flamethrower, I'm not sure how much Flamethrower does. I'm guessing like 40%. Metagross, Melmetal. It does 110, exactly 50%. So I definitely would have been able to KO and put myself in a pretty decent situation. But I basically have no shot here, so I'm going to shield. But they're going to be able to get off another charge move. And then my only play is to get the boost. But even if I get the boost after this, it's GG. Yeah, and I think they don't shield. The CMP ties are so much more clear in Masters, because some of the ranges are so different, and they basically just come in with Dialga. So they end up lagging, and then I'm actually contemplating just like quitting, so they for sure would win. But they're clearly lagging quite a bit, and I didn't want to take advantage of their particular situation, so I just sit here and then let them Dragon Breath me down, like they should have. Like, they clearly had a winning position. So I go into the next match. So I like this team so far, and I encounter a Melmetal, and I actually wasn't. I know Giratina has a positive matchup, but I wasn't sure if I had to bait. So I just build up to Shadow Ball, and I go for the ominous win. And okay, that's fine. Again, I'm going to build up to the Shadow Ball, hoping to bait it out. And they don't shield again, I don't think so. Yeah, they don't. And I'm like, okay, I'll just go for another ominous win. I think I won like a CMP tie. I'm not sure how that necessarily played out. So they end up hitting me with a Rock Slide, and then they come in with Togekiss. I'm like, okay, that's great, that's beautiful. I can just I think it's like 10 charms to get to a Flamethrower. And so if they go for the Ancient Power, I'll just farm them down completely. If they go for the Flamethrower, I don't want to. I could have contemplated shielding and then having like basically almost 100 energy. I don't know, how much energy I have. Probably like 100. Let's see if I straight farm down the Togekiss. So Togekiss does actually take me out with Flamethrower. But if I straight farm it down, I'll have 100 energy. So I'd burn 1 shield, potentially chance to burn 2. And then I realize that I'm like a pretty good position. I'm going to be able to melt this Metagross, and then I'm going to be able to farm down. Even if they hit me with a Shadow Ball, I wouldn't KO. So I was okay with burning the shield there as well. So able to take that game. I'm going to go into the next one. And I just wait a moment so I don't run into the same opponent. And a terrible matchup for me, so I just decide to mirror, save the Metagross for later. And they come into Dialga, which I thought was very interesting, because basically Dialga only really threatens with the Meteor Mash. The Dragon Breaths eventually add up for sure, but they don't do very much. As you can see, these charms are doing significantly more damage. It's really the charge moves that apply all the pressure, and then they go for. I think they get it at the last minute. I'm like, okay, they clearly don't have very many counters to Togekiss, so I'm gonna decide to come in, and then I'm expecting the Togekiss mirror to come in, and I'm gonna what do I do? They come in with Swampert. That's a brilliant switch, just because the Swampert it's not gonna do very much damage with the Mud Shot, so it has to charge move, but these charms are also chunking away, and then I'm in a pretty good situation. And I come into Giratina, and I come into Metagross, and this Togekiss is low, and then I decide to put pressure onto it. They probably could have shielded, and then got off the flamethrower, but I'm not sure necessarily it was worth it. And then I'm actually able to get off the Meteor Mash, which this Swampert definitely would have to shield because it would do a lot of damage. And so I think they over farm. Metagross is not super squishy, but Hydro Cannon would do about 1/3, so they probably did have to go for Earthquake to KO, but I'm in a pretty good situation. So they could have shielded and then Flamethrowered and hoped to KO, but I think I would have been able to put it low enough and then farm down with Giratina, so they were kind of like not having a counter to Togekiss switch in was ultimately their downfall, and me double shielding was pretty critical, because I definitely would have been put in a pretty bad situation if I didn't double shield. Like maybe like if I didn't double shield, they selfish shield, and then I come in with Metagross, but Metagross, like I have to almost throw a charge move at Dialga to be able to take it out. So there's not very much residual energy, and then I probably would have been in range of Hydro Cannon. So a very good lead for me. I expect the switch out to come out, and I decide to go for the Ominous Wind. These meter mashes are gonna hurt for sure, and they decide to just build up enough energy. I decide to go for the Ominous Wind. I probably should have saved it. And then I'm going to go into the Togekiss, because Togekiss has such a terrible matchup with Metagross. And then I decide at this point in time I'm just going to shield and then farm down. And then Flamethrower the Metagross. I actually don't win the CMP tie with Metagross, so I was really worried about this. And they actually go for... they want to farm, so which makes sense. I would actually like contemplate like farming almost completely down. I think like just doing 2 bullet punches is like not enough value. Like you definitely want to put it pretty low. So I'm gonna go into Giratina, and then I go into Metagross to catch this Meteor Mash, because I know whatever's gonna come in the back I'm gonna have to meet anyways, and it ends up being Kyogre. So I'm hoping that they let me get off this Earthquake. I am a little bit worried about the Blizzard, but Blizzard takes so much energy to get to. And I have a shield, so no matter what this charge move is, I'm going to shield, because I can take out this Kyogre. If it ends up being a Surf, there's no way they get to a Blizzard afterwards. There you go. They're at 5, but I'm going to be able to Shadow Ball. This Metagross has no energy left, so it ended up working pretty favorably for me. It would have been a tough matchup for me in the back, especially if they had energy. They get to 5 Surfs, and I don't know how much it takes to KO. This is actually a really good match right here. So against one of my friends. So they do 120 damage, I guess, maybe. I don't know. So bad situation for me. So I switch out to Togekiss, and I'm like, please don't have a Metagross. And they don't. So what I should have done here was I debated. I guess I end up burning the shield, which is okay for me. Again, these Dragon Breaths are not doing very much damage. So I go for the Ancient Power, and they end up shielding, because they know you have to shield if you want to get to the second Iron Head and burn the second shield. Because I know they're not switching out, I know they probably don't have a good counter in the back. And it ends up having Giratina. And I go for the Ancient Power. These charms are going to do quite a bit. But I realize that he's going to potentially try to fade me down. I contemplated switching. The thing is, like, everything's so weak to Giratina. And then I'm like, oh, God, I have not very much play here. And he actually just goes for the Ominous Wind. He just goes for the Ominous Wind, which I found was kind of weird. So I'm like, oh, he must have, if he doesn't shield here, he must have something strong to Giratina in the back, like a Togekiss. And then it ends up being Lucario, and he's so brilliant here, because like we actually should get to it at the same time, and then Metagross has a higher attack than Lucario, and then I'm not able to get to it. And I'm like, oh, you idiot king, because I could have easily just stayed in, got off the Ominous Wind, burned the shield, and then at even energy, potentially beat the Lucario to the charge move, or sack my Metagross, one of the two, right, to put myself in a better position. But well played. Really well played. That Lucario in the back was ultra spicy, so I like that. Shadow Ball so dangerous in this meta. That is like the right typing. Fighting moves and ghost moves are really dangerous in this meta. It basically covers virtually everything. It's everything for neutral and a lot of things for super effective that are relevant in this meta. And then, so bad matchup for me. So I switch out into Togekiss. And they're deciding to stay in for quite a bit. And my Togekiss is clearly hitting this other Togekiss way harder. So they end up going for the Ancient Power. And they come in with Dialga. And then I decide to go for the Ancient Power. And I draw the shield, which is great. And, I don't know if I necessarily made the right decision. I really want to win Switch Advantage. So I go for the Ancient Power. I probably should have threatened with the Flamethrower, because I have more than enough health. And I'm like, oh God, please let me be able to farm down. And I survive with like barely any HP left. And I think they end up having so not a great situation for me. So I'm hoping to KO before it gets off charge move. And they come into Giratina. I was like, oh God. And then I go for the Ominous Wind. I'm like, maybe I can. So here's the thing. I think they undercharge this. This is either a brilliant move or something that just happened. I think they undercharge it because the Shadow Ball should hit 149. I guess it doesn't need enough to KO. Because I'm like, I was so close. I was definitely going to win the CMP tie against Giratina. And that would have, the Meteor Mash would hit 106 out of 236. I actually wouldn't have been able to KO. So, yeah, I guess there's not really much play for me there. But I like this team overall. It's tricky when they, obviously the Dialga lead. And basically, you just have to guess, do they have coverage for Metagross with Kyogre or Swampert, or do they have coverage with Togekiss and with Metagross itself? So, yeah, I like this team overall, and it's pretty solid. So hopefully some people will be able to utilize it. Giratina, super strong. Togekiss, obviously doing a lot of work. The Meteor Mash from Metagross is super deadly. So, anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see everyone in the next video.